From 1972 to 1997, Father Stefano Gobbi received interlocutions or messages from the Blessed Virgin Mary regarding the end times. The Marian movement of priests was formed as the instrument chosen by Our Lady to carry her voice to the hearts and souls of her beloved children, a guide for helping them to live the consecration to her Immaculate Heart. In it, she manifests her maternal plan to lead all souls back to Jesus. It is a work of love which the Immaculate Heart of Mary is causing to spring up in the Church today, to help all her children to live with trust and filial hope through the painful times of the Purification. But why did Our Lady choose Father Gobbi? In one passage of the book, the following explanation is given. Our Lady says, "I have chosen you because you are the least apt instrument. Thus no one will say that this is your work. The Marian movement of priests must be my work alone. Through your weakness I will manifest my strength. Through your nothingness I will manifest my power. Through this movement I am calling all my children to consecrate themselves to my heart and to spread everywhere cenacles of prayer." Message of July 16, 1973. But these messages are not only for the priests who are enrolled in the Marian movement of priests, but for us lay people as well. She explains her role in the end times and gives us a clear understanding of the book of the Apocalypse. The second sign, lack of discipline. Our Lady to Father Gobbi on the feast of the presentation of the child Jesus in the temple. Contemplate your Heavenly Mother as she presents herself at the temple to offer her little child. He is the Word of the Father made man. He is the Son of God through whom the universe was created. He is the awaited Messiah to whom prophecy and law have been directed. And yet from the very moment of his human conception, he becomes obedient in all things to the will of the Father. "Behold, I come to do your will, O God." And from his very birth he submits himself to all the prescriptions of the law after 8 days, the circumcision, and today after 40 days the presentation in the temple. Just as every other firstborn, mine also belongs to God, and he is ransomed by the prescribed sacrifice. From the priest he returns to my arms that he might be offered anew by me through the wound of my Immaculate Heart, already pierced by a sword. And thus our yes to the will of the Father is pronounced together. Beloved sons, when I appeal to you to become littler in my arms, it is to make you like my child Jesus, through docile and perfect obedience to the divine will. Today my heart is wounded anew by seeing so many of my beloved sons who live without docility to the will of God, because they do not observe and often openly disdain the laws proper to their priestly state. Thus lack of discipline is spreading in the Church and reaping victims even from among her very pastors. This is the second sign which indicates to you that for the Church the final time of purification has come. A lack of discipline which has spread throughout all levels, especially among the clergy. It is a lack of discipline to be wanting in interior docility to the will of God. A lack of discipline which is manifested by the flouting of those obligations which are proper to your state of life. The obligations to pray, to give good example, to lead a holy and apostolic life. How many there are among the priests who allow themselves to become absorbed in excessive activity and who no longer pray. They habitually neglect the liturgy of the hours, meditation and the recitation of the Holy Rosary. They limit their prayer to a hurried celebration of Holy Mass. And so my poor sons become interiorly empty and no longer have the light and strength to resist the many snares amidst which they live. They thus become contaminated by the spirit of the world and accept its way of life, share its values, take part in its profane manifestations, allow themselves to be conditioned by its method of propaganda, and in the end come to adopt its very mentality. And so they end up by living as ministers of the world according to its spirit which they justify and propagate, thus provoking scandal amongst many of the faithful. From this springs the growing rebellion against canonical norms which regulate the life of priests, and the recurring objection to the obligation of sacred celibacy, desired by Jesus as expressed by his Church, and which has at this time been once again strongly reaffirmed by the Pope. It is lack of discipline to disregard with ease the norms which the Church has laid down for the regulation of liturgical and ecclesiastical life. Today, each one tends to direct himself according to his own taste or free choice, and with what scandalous facility are violated the norms of the Church, which have been reaffirmed again and again by the Holy Father, such as the obligation for priests to wear the ecclesiastical dress. Alas, sometimes the first to continue disobeying these prescriptions are the pastors themselves, and it is their bad example which then fosters lack of discipline in all sectors of the Church. This disorder which is spreading in the Church indicates to you with clarity that the final moment of her purification has come. What must you do, beloved sons of your Heavenly Mother, apostles of light of my Immaculate Heart? Let yourselves be carried in my arms as my tiniest babies, and I will make you perfectly docile to the will of the Father. Thus, to everyone you will give a good example of perfect obedience to the laws of the Church, and your Heavenly Mother will be able to make use of you to restore order in her house, so that after the suffering, the triumph of her Immaculate Heart may shine forth in the Church.